welcome to an art video. Now I had planned to do one video a week, but it was proving a little too stressful, and most of all I want to have fun with this. So I've decided to go with one video every other week instead. Now I'm not any kind of an expert. I don't have a degree in art. I'm just an art fan making fan videos about the thing I fan. So if this sounds like fun to you, make sure you join me every week. If you subscribe and hit the bell notification, you'll be notified when I make new videos. And if you hit the like button, more people will see the video because it'll actually show up more in the algorithm. I live stream every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Central, where I work on some piece of art or another and chat about my life, the world, the art world, whatever's going on that's interesting, whatever I manage to take notes about. Get out your art supplies or your crafting supplies, or just grab a beverage and join me. We can create together. If you have any questions or comments, there's always the live stream. I try to keep my eye on it so I can answer any questions that pop up, or at least respond when people chat with me. So if that sounds like fun, that's Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central. And my other videos will generally come out on Saturdays at noon Central every other week. So this week will be one, there won't be one next week. You get the picture. In today's video, I want to discuss two art styles that are very different and yet on closer inspection are surprisingly similar. Both take the concept of reality, of realism, to extremes. They are hyperrealism and surrealism. Before we compare them to see where they differ or share traits, let's go over each style and learn a little bit about it. Let's begin with the older one, surrealism. Surrealism isn't just an artistic style, it was also an artistic and cultural movement that included film, literature, and music, and also leftist political ideals. It was also heavily influenced by Sigmund Freud and his work with dreams and the subconscious. In 1924, French writer André Breton published the Surrealist Manifesto, and the movement spread around the world, influencing political theory and social thought. He had a medical background and treated World War I soldiers with psychoanalytical methods created by Freud. The Surrealists were into the idiosyncrasies of life without falling prey to insanity. Frida Kahlo had a horrible accident that left her in great physical distress for her whole life. Yet she did not succumb to the madness of her trauma. Instead, she painted. Salvador Dali once said, "There's only one difference between a madman and me. I am not mad." The Surrealist movement could be a video all into itself. There's a lot of history there, a lot of interesting writing and art and music even that could be explored. But let's move to the visual arts style of Surrealism instead. Do you remember your dreams? I do, and sometimes when I wake up, I'm honestly surprised because the dream was so real, I was convinced that that was reality. And that seems to be the goal of the surrealist artist, to bring forth things we can only see in our subconscious into visual art, to kind of show the viewer what's going on in the subconscious mind of the artist. Oftentimes, surrealistic art is full of figures or objects that we recognize from waking life, but things are off. The setting is strange. They're behaving irrationally. Something is different that lets you know that what you're looking at is not quite the reality of the waking mind. Surrealism is an enhanced version of realism, one that we recognize but understand isn't part of conscious reality. It's a way to lift the veil and to show others what's going on in your reality, the reality that exists only inside of your mind. The development of photography in the 20th century changed the art world forever and brought about a new art style called photorealism, where the artist attempted to depict the image from a photograph or from life as if it were a photograph. As photography moved from film to digital formats, photorealism morphed into hyperrealism because now cameras were able to catch all the intricate details of reality that were never able to be seen before by the eye of a lens. These are things that we see subconsciously when we look at someone, the fine lines in someone's lips, the tiny veins in their eyes. But we take everything in all at once and register the whole person, the whole face, as opposed to the hundreds or thousands of tiny pores that make up the bridge of their nose. That would all be too much information to process at once. So when we look at someone, we're looking at, the sum of their details. But hyperrealism attempts to take those details and render them so faithfully that what you're looking at is more real than real. Hyperrealism is also a movement that's connected to a larger social philosophical theory, just like Surrealism was. Where Surrealism dealt with the subconscious and things that Freud wrote about, Hyperrealism is more concerned with the hyperreal, the ever so conscious and real society of technology that we live in today. In some ways, these two art styles are opposites. Hyperrealism shows you the things we all see in exquisite detail. Surrealism shows you the things the artist sees in their mind's eye, things that can't be real for anyone but the artist. One is a shared experience, one is a sharing experience. So, how do they share similarities? Well, a surrealistic piece of art can be rendered with such exquisite detail that it appears to be real, although you recognize that the subject matter you're looking at isn't something you're going to see in conscious waking life. For example, if you had an ornate box with a pair of eyes in it peering out, the box and the eyes could be rendered with such detail that it looks almost digitally created, but the subject matter is still surrealistic. And hyperrealism, on the other hand, can look very surrealistic with its just out of context detail in a way. Pictures from galleries where people are standing next to these huge heads that are realistically rendered, but they're so gigantic and out of proportion to everything around them that you know they can't possibly be real. So they become surreal. Do you have a preference between the two art styles? Personally, I like both of them for different reasons. Some people say that hyper-realistic art is pure technical skill and very little imagination, but I think that's pretty far off. I think that the imagination it requires to render all those little details that would so overwhelm our brains otherwise requires a great deal of heart and skill that go far beyond just technical skill. You have to be able to render your emotions without drawing an emotion, if that makes sense. Thank you for watching my video, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification, although some people are saying it doesn't do anything anymore, but hit it anyways. It doesn't hurt to try. Liking my videos really does help me out. It puts them into other people's video feeds where they get a chance to see them. So every other weekend, I will release a video like this. So not next weekend, but the weekend after at noon on Saturday, noon Central. And then every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Central, I'll be right here live streaming doing some art. So join me for that and let's have a conversation. Once again, I'd like to thank my patrons for making this possible. Thank you guys very much. I love you. And I hope you all have a great weekend. Bye.
5, 6, 7, 8.